Would you rather be shot or poisoned? That's how Republican Senator Lindsey Graham described the choice during his party's primary between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. A lot of us don't feel any better about the general election. Trump and Hillary Clinton have the highest unfavorable ratings in the history of American political polling. Some have made their decision based on which candidate they think is less evil. But is that really the right way to vote? Russell Moore, the president of the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission for the Southern Baptist Convention and a nasty guy with no heart, said this: "When Christians face two clearly immoral options, we cannot rationalize a vote for immorality or injustice just because we deem the alternative to be worse." So what are we supposed to do? Believe it or not, I think there's a silver lining to the orange cloud that's hanging over us. For the last 40 years, a lot of Christians, and especially evangelicals, have been in lockstep with the Republican Party. Many haven't seriously rethought what Christian political or cultural engagement should look like. 2016 is an opportunity for us to do that. Rather than just asking who should I vote for, let's go deeper and ask, why am I voting in the first place? And what do I expect my vote to actually accomplish? Over the last century, most Christians have answered that deeper question in one of two ways. Some say that Christians have no essential role in the culture. We should separate ourselves from it, avoid its depravity, and prepare ourselves for Christ's return. The culture is dangerous, it's ungodly, and slouching toward Gomorrah and destruction. So voting is really a waste of time. In fact, any real cultural involvement is a waste of time. It's just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. This was the popular view among fundamentalists in the first half of the 20th century. But other Christians answer differently. They argue that the culture is indeed a dangerous and ungodly place, but rather than separating from it, they say we should engage it. We should take hold of power structures and change the culture. This has been the popular view among evangelicals since the mid-1970s. It's also why so many are upset this year, because there doesn't seem to be a candidate that really represents Christian values. And if the whole point of voting is to take control of the culture, well then this year we're out of luck. But here's what I want you to see. Both of these models are predicated on fear. Remember high school biology? When an organism faces a threat, it's going to respond in one of two ways: fight or flight. It will either run away from the danger or it's going to try to overpower it. But fight and flight are really two sides of the same coin. They're both a way of trying to gain control over a dangerous situation. Sadly, danger and fear fuel a lot of Christian cultural engagement. So the reason we vote is because we're looking for control, and politicians know it. The parties know that the best way to get people into the voting booth is by scaring them. Tell us what terrible thing is going to happen to us if the other guy wins. I think that's why so many Christians are paralyzed this year. They don't know what to fear more: Clinton's aggressive liberal social policies or Trump's aggressively ignorant economic, domestic, foreign, homeland security, well, basically all of his policies. But here's the really good news. After decades of voting out of fear and a desire for control, the unappealing choices in 2016 can make Christians slow down and rethink this whole approach. What if there's more than just fight or flight? More than just fear and control? What if there's an entirely different way to see our culture and to cast our votes? Here's how Alan Noble put it. He wrote, "There are no good political options for evangelical Christians in 2016, but we have a critical opportunity to stand by the convictions we have proclaimed and to do so in a way that offers other Americans an alternative political imagination, one committed to principled pluralism, to the flourishing of local communities, and to the common good." I like that. An alternative political imagination. A third way. I don't think Christians are called to fight or flee. We're called to serve. I don't think we're supposed to be motivated by fear and self-preservation, but by love and self-sacrifice. And rather than lamenting or condemning the culture, what if we embraced it? What if we embraced it as the place and the people that God has called us to, the same way that Jesus embraced us, and the way he came willingly and made his dwelling among us? What if we actually chose our culture? I think 2016 is a critical moment. It's about much more than just who to vote for in November. It's about what kind of Christians we will be as our culture becomes increasingly post-Christian. Some are lamenting those changes, some are terrified by them, but I'm not. This is an opportunity, and it's a blessing to rethink so many of the assumptions we've held maybe for too long. That's why I wrote a short ebook called The Voting Booth. It explains the popular fight or flight approaches, but then paints a picture of what a third way might look like, a more Christian way, one that looks more like Christ. I think it will help shift your thinking not just about this election, but about Christian cultural engagement overall. Now, I realize most of you aren't going to get an ebook, even a short one, and that's okay. I still think its message is important and worth talking about. So I've taken a simple chart from the end of that book that outlines all three of these pathways and made it available for everyone for free. There's a link below in this video so you can download it, and I'd love for you to use it. Use it to fuel discussions in your churches, in your dorms, with your friends, with your families, and share it on social media. Let's spread the idea of an alternative political imagination. Let's not waste this opportunity to rethink Christian cultural engagement. I think through this book and hopefully conversations you'll have with others, you'll come to disagree with Senator Graham. When we enter the voting booth this year, it isn't just a choice between being shot or poisoned. We also have the choice to take up our cross and follow Christ. Thanks for watching. Put your comments below. I'd love to interact with you about what you're thinking about the election. Don't forget about my weekly podcast with Phil Vischer. Comes out every Tuesday. You can sign up at iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to With God Daily, my daily devotional that arrives right to your inbox every morning to draw you into deeper communion with God, to Scripture, and with prayers of the historic church.